What's up, everybody? This is Third String Podcast here. With our first ever podcast, this will be episode 1. Feel free, if you enjoy, to drop a sub, turn on that notification bell so you always know when we upload. Make sure to drop a like. Also, feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on what we say. Anything's welcome. I'll be your host, Jacob, and I'm joined here with Chris.
What's up, guys?
And I'm also joined here with Brody.
What's going on?
All right. How are you fellas doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic.
Good to hear.
Pretty
Good to hear.
good.
Nice.
Ready to talk some football.
Yeah, me too.
You know, that's what we're ready for.
All right, well, let's dive into some college football talk.
We're on what week now? What is this, week 8 or week 7?
I think it's week 8. Or week 7.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. So 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. We're about midway.
Yeah, halfway through the season, things are starting to finally, shape up. Teams are starting to separate themselves.
Some are actually looking better than when they started.
Yeah, a lot of surprises, both good and bad.
Very.
Get into that later, So first thing I want to talk about is the Heisman race. We got basically, I know we were talking about this earlier, Chris. It's basically the quarterback trophy nowadays. But there's a couple players that aren't quarterbacks that could maybe sneak in.
Maybe. It is a quarterback trophy. As I don't remember the last running back to ever win it. I know Reggie Bush was, to my knowledge. I don't know really anyone after him who really won it.
Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah, Derrick Henry. You're right. I did forget about Derrick. I knew it was someone from Trent Richardson never won. Did he? He got close,
No.
didn't he?
No.
Okay, that's what I remember. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I know someone from Alabama, but I know it wasn't Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
No.
And I was like, who was the other one? But yeah, Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So we got the I'll give you the top 5 front runners as of right now. We got Tua from Bama, Jalen Hurts out of OU, Joe Burrows, LSU, Justin Fields out of OSU, and then sneaking in at number 5, we got Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. Now that's just what ESPN has. Chris, we'll start with you. What are kind of your Heisman hopefuls? Who do you think's gonna wind up being in the top 3, top 4? And who's some underdogs that people aren't talking about?
Well, for me being an LSU fan, I would love to see Joe Burrows win it, but I don't have him as number 1. Surprisingly, I don't. My number 1, I'm gonna have to go who I think is going to win it. I think Jalen Hurts. He's been having a lot of passing yards and rushing yards. He's been doing it all. I think he deserves it, but I guess I always like to put out the resume, as he doesn't really has played a defense yet. So, once we see that happens, then I guess I can take it back.
Right. That's
now the next ones I don't have an order, but I think I have Joe Burrows in there. I think he's just been doing outstanding. I think we said last night he only had 20 incompletions. So that's really, really good. Tua's the same way. I think Tua should have won it last year. I think he did better than Trevor. So I think Tua has a good shot. I think him and Burrows are just really good accuracy. Really have really good accuracy. Dang, I can't talk. But they also have really good receivers, so that also helps out.
True.
And then I have out of those two, and then other than that, I don't know the next ones, but I have Jonathan Taylor. I think he can be running in it. Justin Herbert, I think if he keeps doing good, he can eventually sneak into it.
Yep.
Justin Fields, I think, has been doing great. I love to see him to play against a really good defense, to see him go. I think Ohio State is a really good team, but I'll get more of that later. I think Chuba Herbert, I think that's how you say his last name, from Oklahoma State. He's a really good running back. He's actually, I think, the number 1 rushing running back. I think he can sneak in. And I think Trevor Lawrence, is falling off. I think he has an NFL sophomore curse. He's just not looking too hot, but now he's starting to pick it up. I think he can kind of sneak back into it. But I think since week 8, I think he's kind of out of it now. I don't know. It'd be really, really interesting to see if they put him back in it. But that's really all my takes on it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has kind of slid downhill. That I mean that he's just been underperforming. Like as
Yeah,
soon
he has
as
not done where he's been.
as soon as he came in last year, like everybody was talking about how he kicked Kelly Bryant out, um, overtook the starting role, and like came in and won. I mean, absolutely just slaughtered the competition. Absolutely
Well,
slaughtered Bama, and then come to this year, and I mean he's thrown more than like touchdowns to pick. He's thrown 11 touchdowns to 6 picks. I mean,
yeah, I don't.
he's
I think last year, I think Clemson was just at another level. I think Kelly Bryant stays with Clemson last year. I think they still win it, and I think Kelly Bryant, instead of going to Missouri, I think he goes straight to the NFL. So I don't know if how Kelly Bryant could have probably done what Trevor did last year. Maybe not as like the best numbers, maybe not outscore Bama by a lot, but I think he could at least win it all.
yeah,
So
I
I
agree.
think Trevor Lawrence factor last year was not too important. I think it's just he came in with a really good wide receiver core, a good line core, good defense. This year they did lose a lot of people, so I really think Kelly Bryant could have just done what he did.
Yeah, that defense was. They had like all 4 of their defensive linemen were drafted.
Yeah, they were
That
good.
hurts.
Yeah,
That hurts.
yeah, they were good. That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy, but I think Jalen Hurts does deserve it. But I also think Joe Burrows. I think Joe Burrows can win it. I want him to win it. I'm an LSU fan, obviously,
Yeah.
so I'm going to vote Joe
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
fair.
that's my take on all the Heisman.
All right. Brody, what's do you got anything to add? Like, what's your takes on the Heisman race so far up to what week 8 we're approaching?
So I kind of just did my top 3 people that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Number 1, I go back and forth between Jalen Hurts and Tua because the reason why maybe Tua doesn't have the rushing that Jalen Hurts has,
Right.
but he's still a great quarterback. In the past 2 games, he's thrown for 5 TDs.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. If he could keep that up, that'd be pretty hard to stop right there.
Yeah,
But this year, he's only rushed for 35 yards, and Jalen Hurts has rushed for 630,
yeah.
which is a big factor, I think, for the Heisman voters at the end of the year. They're going to look at that and say, yeah, this guy can do it both. He deserves the Heisman.
That's fair.
Um, my
Oh, never mind.
and then the other one that I had was third place. I believe Joe Burrow
Woo woo.
will get third, and just because he's such a great quarterback, but I believe Jalen Hurts is just on a bit of a different level than like Joe Burrow's right here, and then there's Tua right above him, and then right above Tua is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And
What if Jalen Hurts plays a good defense and doesn't perform as to
we'll
where
see
he's at
that
performing?
that was another point there with me. Tua's of course in the SEC. He has to play all these top defenses and everything. And so far, passing the ball, he's only thrown 1 pick and 27 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wait to see them go against like a really good defense.
And both of them have very close quarterback ratings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their Tua's is 214.3 and Jalen Hurts is 215.9.
Jeez.
Yeah, neck and neck. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
that. I mean, you can. I mean, Texas doesn't have a horrible defense. But
No.
I don't think they're gonna. I mean, just playing in the Big 12. I mean, I know they say like Iowa State and Baylor, like they both adapted, the defensive scheme more so than as of late. I mean, other than that though, I don't think they'll play a defense until until postseason. Like if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're gonna play a top defense
Well,
until they hit the playoffs.
Yeah, you can look at like Baker. When Baker went and played in the playoffs, they didn't win their game. He was throwing touchdowns, but their defense couldn't stop to be able for him to keep outscoring. I think, yeah.
Right. And I mean, of course, it's
Yeah. At
it's
the end of the day, it
comparing
does
what
come
he's-
down to defense.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I have Tua at number one. Just because I mean, SEC quarterback. Yes, I would say he probably has the best wide receiver core in the country. I mean, it's up there with
Yeah, they're
Clemson
fast.
and Oklahoma, but they're extremely fast. They're big too. I mean, he's thrown for 2,000 yards, 27 TDs to 1 pick, like Brody said. That's not too shabby. While also being accurate with the ball. So he's number one for me at the moment, and then I have Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow tied for number two. Jalen Hurts, of course, like we've already said, he's got about 1,800 passing yards, 600 plus rushing yards, 17 passing TDs to only 3 picks, and then 8 rushing touchdowns to go along with that. So, I mean, being able to scramble and like he did that behind the back to avoid a sack move against Texas.
Yeah, that looked nice.
Pretty dirty.
Mhm.
And then Joe Burrows is absolutely killing it. I know, Chris, you've been an LSU fan. It's been a while since y'all have had a good quarterback, so I'm sure this is
Yeah,
fun to see him.
it's surprising. It's really fun actually.
Yeah, they got an explosive offense. He's thrown 25 TDs and only 3 picks. So I mean, he's thrown for more passing yards than Tua.
He's clutched against He clutched against Texas.
Yeah,
He had a couple good big plays on there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's actually this is a weird it's just kind of hard to put those three because they're all three pretty dominant at their school right now, as we can see.
Yeah.
Here's a quarterback. Actually, I want to know what y'all think. Y'all ever watch Anthony Gordon from Washington State?
Mm-mm.
He has a 71% completion, but he's thrown for 2,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. With I guess interceptions does kind of stink, but I think he could be a big quarterback in the future because this is the second year he's there, unless he redshirted, but it doesn't say. No, he's a senior. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
He might be an NFL quarterback.
so they're not really talking about him then.
No, but he's not. It doesn't seem like he's doing that bad. But 6 picks, I guess, is kind of bad.
I mean,
But
you got like
it's better than Baker throwing 11.
the quarterback. Yeah, for real. The quarterbacks that are like under like Tua, Jalen, and Joe. I mean, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. Like those three. I would honestly probably move Justin Herbert over Trevor Lawrence at this point.
Oh
He's
yeah,
thrown for
100%.
Yeah.
400 more yards, 6 more touchdowns, and he's only thrown 1 pick to Trevor's 6. And
Yeah, no, I think Trevor Lawrence was just like. I mean, last year what he did, I understand coming in this year he's going to be highly up there, but I don't know what happened to him, or unless he's just too cocky or too confident. But he does not look good.
no, he really doesn't.
If he goes against like an elite offense with an elite defense, he won't be able to do anything. I think he won't be able to outscore Bama by a lot or outscore like LSU by a lot. Or I don't even think they could. I would love to see them versus Florida. I think that would be a good game. That would be a really good game.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to compare Kelly Bryant leaving and how he's doing at Missouri, he's thrown for 274 more yards than Trevor. He's thrown 1 more touchdown and 2 less picks. And I believe Missouri's 5-1 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost to Wyoming at the very first game of the year.
Mhm.
First game of the year. They're looking good.
That's what I'm saying. If he would stayed at Clemson last year, he would have done the same thing Trevor would have done.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I mean, we know
agree.
like it's. I think Dabo just switching. I think was pretty dumb because he would have had Trevor doing what he done last year. This year, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Trevor's just too cocky right now. I mean, that's kind of how Baker went into the NFL. Did good first year. Now he's just looking too hot. But
I mean,
I don't know.
that's fair because I mean he came in won a national title as a freshman. So I mean he's probably thinking I got this.
Yeah, and then now he's. I think they got woken up with the North Carolina game.
Yeah, for
Which
sure.
they better got woken up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they didn't turn on the job, I mean, they absolutely stomped whoever they played. I can't even remember who they played, but they absolutely killed them.
Yeah, but like what sucks with them is this the fact they don't have a good defense as they give up, like they don't really have played anybody. Well, they played Texas A&M, which Texas A&M is kind of like falling off.
Yeah.
You remember when they said in the summer, they said the Texas A&M quarterback was supposed to be the best SEC quarterback this year.
Yeah.
And he is like, Mon. He's like, I don't even think he's top 5 right now.
In the SEC, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I bet if Trask would have like started after like the first game, I bet he would kind of be maybe be able to sneak in a run. Because I mean, he looks pretty good. Sam, we've been to talk about Sam from Texas.
Sam Ehlinger. What about him?
Yeah, he's not that bad of a quarterback.
He's not bad, but I think he's overrated.
No.
I mean, arm-wise, like he can obviously scramble and run, but I mean,
yeah,
he's not performing to the highlights of some of the other guys we've already.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, and I mean, Jets. I mean, like Jonathan Taylor. I think a lot of people they just look at the quarterback and they're like, oh, this quarterback, it has become the quarterback trophy. But Jonathan Taylor is like almost averaging 8 yards a carry. Like that is absolutely insane. He's 129 carries while having 825 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns while also having 4 receiving touchdowns. Like
that's
the dude's popping off in Wisconsin. I mean, they've absolutely been just
I think
everybody that they played.
He's basically the big reason because he can run, and so that opens up the passing game.
Yeah,
and then he gets them, but he basically makes big plays every time.
He's their new Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you who else has been doing pretty good rushing. That's J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's been rushing pretty good.
Yeah, their whole team's just solid.
I think they're the most complete team, if I'm going to be real. I think their defense is doing fantastic. But again, they really haven't played anybody, so we can't really justify that.
Right.
Wisconsin's defense is good, too, because they only average 4.8, on defense, like giving up points. Yeah, and Ohio State's is 8.8. But what surprised me is Clemson, because they only give up like 12.3 points a game. That's actually pretty good, but I just don't think they're there. Good. Yeah, but whenever you're not playing someone with a high-power offense, you can't really show what their defense is like.
Right. I mean, it probably won't get interesting until
like week 10 or week 11.
Yeah, I mean, these next probably 3-4 weeks will be where it's dug
out. Well,
in
4 weeks,
not very good.
No. In 4 weeks, you got number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah.
Which would be a good game.
Yeah, Bama versus OSU. That'll be a good one. I think. Honestly, I mean, whoever loses that game, I think still has a shot at getting into the college.
Yeah, just because Georgia losing.
Yeah, Georgia losing really hurt him.
Definitely.
And then Florida losing too. That hurts that side because Florida would have won. They would have probably been like 5th, maybe even 4th. I'm surprised Clemson even went to 3. But I guess we can get into the top 4 whenever we get to that subject.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't really have. I mean. Heisman-wise, I think, I mean, between the top 3 quarterbacks into it, Hurts and Burrows, I think, honestly, like, if it were given out right now, it could go to any one of them.
I think they're so close.
It wouldn't be a huge, if it was given to Jalen, it wouldn't be, surprising. Or if it was given to Tua or given to Joe, it wouldn't be, like, a huge deal. Like, so-and-so should have won.
Well, knowing Oklahoma's fan base, I think they're going to, they'd freak out if there's someone else. Alabama, I don't think so, really. Wait, Jalen Hurts won the Heisman, didn't he? A couple years ago?
No.
He didn't?
No, he hasn't won one.
I thought he did.
I mean, Lincoln Riley. If Jalen does win at Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley is just going to be known as like the Heisman head coach, just because he had Baker than
but all 3 of those transferred from other schools.
I know they were all hand picked and given to him. I agree, but
I
mean,
who you think the best one out of 3 of those has done at Oklahoma out of Jalen, Kyle, and Baker?
I think Jalen Hurts is the best that Oklahoma's had out of those three. I would say he's probably the best. And like
Yeah.
the thing is he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. I mean that dude just looks straight up pissed after every game. I mean, like he's just always
Think he's
like
mad at his defense?
I think he's just mad. You know, like not at
Oh.
anybody. Like Tua came in like he was what 27-2 as a starter or whatever, and
Yeah.
then Tua came in and just replaced him.
In
So
the championship game?
yeah,
I'd be
so
mad too.
I think
Yeah.
he's just playing pissed off, which honestly, like he's been lights out, man. So it'd be fun to see. It'd be fun we can go ahead and hop into like the who's in, top four. It'd be fun to see Oklahoma and Alabama play.
Oh yeah.
Either in the championship game or in like the first round of the playoffs. Just
Yeah,
to
that'd be
see
pretty
Tua
interesting.
Jalen showdown. That'd be
Yeah, I think Tua to go away with it. I think Alabama's defense could get that one stop.
Yeah.
That's what happened when they played last year. They got that 1-2 stops and they wound up winning.
Yeah. All right, you want to get into the top four or who's in?
Yeah.
Sure.
So we
Yeah,
got number 1 is Alabama at the moment. Of course, we got number 2 LSU, number 3 is Clemson, and number 4 is Ohio State. And then 5 and 6 are Oklahoma and Wisconsin. But there's
Okay.
a lot of teams from like 1 through 10 that I mean, of course, we're only halfway through, so basically 1 through 10's still undefeated or only lost one game. So honestly, anybody can still get in. That's probably within the top 10. Brody, what do you have as your who's in at this moment, and who do you think could slip in and fall out as the season goes on?
So, as of right now, my who's in features Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Clemson. And my teams that could possibly sneak in, I have LSU, Wisconsin, and then Penn State. Now, the reason that I have LSU as a sneak in team is because if Alabama wins, pretty much whoever wins that game is going. I mean, we can probably all agree on that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
As long as something weird happens and they lose a game. However, the college football playoff committee, I don't think would like to put another SEC team in the college football playoff. But let's say Ohio State loses a game and LSU is 5. If Ohio State loses a game, or maybe even Clemson, just like with the North Carolina game, they almost got beat. I mean, they're not invincible. None of these teams are.
Right.
But if Ohio State loses a game, they're probably going to put LSU in there. So they're my top team to sneak in.
That's fair.
And then Oklahoma, I don't think will lose a game. The only other game that they could possibly lose is their Big 12 title game,
Right.
which they're probably going to play Texas, right?
Well, I mean, Baylor's still undefeated, so.
That's true. I didn't think about them.
Is SMU in the Big 12? They're not in the Big 12 anymore, are they?
No, they're Conference USA.
Okay, so I think Baylor's still undefeated at this moment. So they at this moment, I believe they play it'd be OU versus Baylor because Texas has lost 2 games now. LSU
Yeah.
and
Alright.
Oklahoma.
LSU and Oklahoma.
So, I think that if Oklahoma, of course, wins out, they're going to go. I mean, there's no doubt
Right.
there that they're going to go. But if they do lose, LSU's going to take whoever's spot.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then another team, the other 2 teams I have are Wisconsin and Penn State. Wisconsin has a better shot than Penn State just because they're ranked higher right now, I believe. And I haven't really watched Penn State, but I know that they're undefeated. But Wisconsin is just so dominant running the ball. with their running back and everything, and I don't think they're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Well, fair enough.
that's Penn State's toughest opponent this year so far has been Iowa. They've won 17-12. Now we'll get a real test because they play Michigan next, and Wisconsin's already played Michigan. And they
Michigan?
slaughtered.
Come on
Absolutely
now,
slaughtered
Michigan's
Okay.
overrated.
I agree, but I mean Michigan still,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
know
still
what
think
you
they're a top 25 team. So I guess we'll see. We'll be able to compare them a little bit whenever they play next week. Whenever they play Michigan.
mean. Okay.
All fair takes. I agree. Chris, what about you?
All right. Well, I hate Brody because he took out my LSU. But here's the thing. Between LSU and Alabama, I think if LSU still loses, I think they still put LSU at 4.
Okay, why's that?
If well, depending on the game. If it comes out to like a 3 to 7 point game, I think you put LSU at 4.
I
Because
could see
obviously
it.
they look really good. And plus they're playing Alabama on the road. So I think depending on that game, if LSU just loses by more than 7, I think you go, okay, well maybe if someone else has to lose. But I think if LSU, loses by 3 on the road or 7, I think you still got to consider well, dang, they did really good against the number 1 team. So I kind of have those just shaping at 1 and 2 as in, or 1 and 4, kind of I don't know. That's just going to be a really good game.
Right.
But then I have Ohio State. I think they are the most complete team. Their defense looks really good, with their offense looking really good. I think Justin Fields is a great fit, and I think Georgia is dumb because Justin Fields, I think, is better than Jake Fromm. So I kind of just think Ohio State, is going to make it. I think Clemson. Clemson right now I have sitting at 5. They scare me against North Carolina. They looked pretty good their last game, but I think we see an upset coming in the future with them. And if we don't see an upset, then they can slide in. I have Oklahoma. Oklahoma's offense is one of the most dominant offense. It's one of the most scoring offense. I think they're number 3rd in scoring with 50 points a game. I think they might have an upset coming too. I feel like if they're going to lose someone, they'll lose in the like Brody said, the Big 12 championship. I think they're losing there. I think a team will learn them really quick and shut down Jalen Hurts. Now I have Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin can actually sneak all the way in to where, I have them sitting right now at 6, but I think, Oklahoma losing and Clemson losing, I think Wisconsin jumps right in to where it's, I think because they have the best running back. All you have to do is have a good running game to have a good passing game, and your defense just has to step up, which obviously their defense right now is, probably the best defense or averages the least points. So I think my top 4 would be, Alabama, Ohio State, and then Wisconsin and LSU. I think that's my 4. Hello?
Hey,
Oh,
I'm here.
I know. Where's Jacob?
So you have
Oh.
Alabama, LSU, Ohio State,
Alabama,
and
Ohio
and
State,
Wisconsin?
Clemson, or
Clemson.
or Alabama, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and LSU.
So you have 2
I think-
SEC and 2 Big Ten.
Oh, I guess I didn't really think. Yeah, no, never mind. I'll take out. You're right. I don't. Okay, I'll put Oklahoma as being in 3rd.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought they were in different conferences.
That's
Silly
fair.
me. But yeah, I think just it comes down to LSU and Alabama. I think LSU still loses. They'll put them in. Obviously, they look dominant over Florida. They look pretty good against Texas. They stay dominant. There's no reason why they shouldn't be in there.
That's fair.
But I don't see Georgia coming anywhere, coming back. I think that loss against South Carolina, I think that kind of going to keep them away from top 4 unless Wisconsin loses, Ohio State loses, Clemson, everyone somehow loses. Then I kind of see them coming back. But with them losing and Florida losing, helps out a lot for a lot of teams because they were the only undefeated teams in the East.
Right. Yeah, I got so it's Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Ohio State right now. I mean, I think it all like both of you said. I think it comes down to Alabama LSU game. So at the moment, I have Alabama at number 1. Um, I have Ohio State at number 2, just because I agree with you. I think they're probably the most complete team. Um, you know, well-rounded offense. They got good receivers. Justin Fields is good. J.K. Dobbins is good. And their defense is extremely solid. Um, so I think it's a similar scenario to where Ohio State and Wisconsin. I feel like they'll probably wind up playing for the Big Ten. So I think it comes down to that, just like the LSU Alabama game. So
Yeah.
I have Alabama, Ohio State, and then Oklahoma's number 3. For me, I honestly I don't see anybody competing in the Big 12 right now. They beat Texas. They honestly should have beat them by more than what the final score said. I think it was like 35-27 or 35-28, but they should have probably won by 14 plus, just because
Yeah.
I think they had 2-3 turnovers that were just stupid turnovers. So I would have Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and then at the moment, it's Clemson, and then LSU is my number 5. The only reason is I think they're trying to, which is unfortunate because I think they're trying to steer clear of having 2 teams from one conference. They'd like to put in 4 conference champions, but
Yeah.
I
You got to put the best in the best. That's
I
what like.
agree. I think over the past couple of years, they've gotten the majority of it right, but there's been some teams that I think were fan favorites that got put in over some teams that were more deserving. So, but I mean, LSU can definitely slip in as a one-loss team if Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, um, Wisconsin, if any of them drop a game, I think LSU sneaks in. Now the big thing, like you said, Georgia. I think any of the one-loss East teams, if when they get to the SEC championship game, and whether it be Missouri, Florida, or Georgia, whoever's if one of those 3 teams is, still one loss and they wind up beating Alabama or LSU, I think they could still sneak in.
Yeah, I can see that.
You can't keep out the SEC champion from the playoffs. So that's the only way I see them sneaking in. So
I think what you're saying, but I don't know. I feel like if either LSU or Alabama, beats whoever wins goes to the championship, and Georgia, let's say, beats them. I don't know if you really take out the number 1 team that far and put Georgia in there. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not saying taking them out either. I'm saying they would sneak in. So like you would have Alabama and Georgia, or you would have LSU and Georgia,
Or we could have Florida.
Right.
Florida could be Georgia.
Yeah.
Who knows? Vanderbilt might be both of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's who I have at the moment. So now I kind of want to talk about some surprises this season, because there's actually been quite a few. Yeah, there's been a lot. Whether that be teams that are doing better than expected, or teams that have kind of fallen off and overhyped.
I'll start out this one. I got some good ones. Okay, for my top performing, I would have to say Auburn and Florida are like my 1 and 2. Florida, I did not like. Florida with Franks, cause I never thought Franks was like a elite quarterback to where a lot of Florida fans think that he was.
Right.
But I think when they put in Trask, I think that's like, oh my gosh, he actually works perfectly with this offense. So they're like surprising me. Bo Nix is surprising me too. Auburn is looking just good.
Yeah.
And I think Auburn's going to be a team to reckon with like next year, or they're going to be up there top 5, I bet, next year if they keep everybody. I think Bo Nix is going to be a good quarterback. Another one is Boise State. I think Boise State is undefeated.
Yep.
They look pretty good. I watched only a couple of highlights of them, and maybe they're going back on track, because Boise State used to be a dominant team. I always thought they used to have some good quarterbacks going up there.
Yep.
And then Oregon, their quarterback is doing fantastic. I see their recruits they're getting. I think Oregon, Oregon's a surprising team. I think they're going to be coming. I think they're better expected this year. I thought it'll take a couple years for them to kick in gear or a year, but they've been doing good. And then you got Wisconsin's running back has been doing outstanding. He surprises me. So that team right there surprised me. And so did Baylor. Baylor being, I think, a one-loss team or undefeated, that's like really good too. Because they used to be pretty bad once Robert Griffin left.
Right.
And then my underperformed teams. I'm going to start off with Clemson. Clemson is my number one underperformed team. I thought they were going to come in this year and run away with the league again. But as we've seen through the first, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, they haven't been looking like Clemson football. Yep. They've been looking pretty bad. But they've been winning. A win's a win. But still, I think they're underperforming. My next one, I'm going to say Texas A&M. I thought Texas A&M, last year they were pretty good. They weren't really good, but this year they do not look good at all. Mm-hmm. I think Kelly Mond's underperforming. I think he's a good quarterback, but they just don't. They look lost right now. And, definitely having Jimbo Fisher as a coach, you would think you would, have a solid team. Mm-hmm. I have two more here. I got Georgia. I'm just going to say because the last game, I think that was, they got saved a couple times. They got saved one time in that last game, but I think they that was just, they shouldn't even got saved. They had a chance to win it. They didn't. Mm-hmm. There was a blown call. I think, they're kind of underperforming, but I think they're not really that big underperforming. Okay, my last team is Arkansas. I think Arkansas has really good talent, and they have good people in spots. They have the talent to be able to compete in the SEC, but their talent obviously shown in games. It's not working. I'm gonna throw it on the coaches. I'm gonna throw it, on whatever practice is like, because I don't ever get to see their practice. But I think in SEC, I think they shouldn't be close to last. They should be at least, top 6 or top 5 in the SEC West. But they're underperforming, so I think that's just my take on it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'd have to agree with just about everything you said. Brody, what about you?
Some of the teams that I have that have surprised me so far have been I'll start with Appalachian State.
Yeah.
Okay. Appalachian State's currently undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ranked number 24.
You think they're gonna be like UCF? UCF fans, put them in the championship. They're undefeated.
No, probably not this year for sure. I don't think so, because that goes back to the whole competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're in a bad conference,
but they also score 41 points a game too.
That is true.
That's pretty good.
So the biggest game that they have left which is big for them, is South Carolina. Mm-hmm. They play South Carolina, and the only other team that they have left with a winning record is Georgia State at 4-2. Mm-hmm. And some of the key factors in their rise this year has been, for one, their quarterback. Their quarterback is Zach Thomas. He has a 70% completion percentage. Now, he's only thrown for 949 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 picks, but his quarterback rating is 158.2.
That's good.
Which is pretty good. And then at running back, they have Darrington Evans. This year, he's rushed for 540 yards on 89 attempts, which is 6.1 yards per carry. He has 9 touchdowns, and that's all I can see on him. But past couple games, he hasn't done really that well. But on September 7th against the Charlotte 49ers, he rushed for 234 yards on 19 carries.
That ain't half bad.
That's not bad at all.
And one other player on there that I found was really good is their center, Noah Hannon, is on the Remington Award Trophy watch list.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know
Shout
that.
out for the big man.
Good look. Jacob, you played center, didn't you?
Yes, I did for many, many years.
Then tore your ACL.
Everything else too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, so that's one of my teams. And the other one that I wanted to talk about was SMU.
Mm. Now, why is that, Brody?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, it is.
SMU, I mean, got their head coach, and look at them now. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6-0.
Where did their head coach go?
Oh, I don't know.
By the way, guys, Jacob and Brody are Razorback fans.
Yep, and if you don't know, SMU's old coach is Chad Morris, who is now the head coach of Arkansas, and he has a total of 4 wins in the past 2 seasons. And now SMU, the team that he left, is now 6-0. So that is unfortunately where we're at right now. Yeah, that's mighty tough. It's just not a good feeling. But anyway, carry on, Brody.
So some of the stats on them, their quarterback and running back. I'll start with their quarterback. Shane Buechele. Shane Buechele is their starting quarterback, and he has a 67 completion percentage. He's thrown for 1,665 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 5 picks. But he has a quarterback rating of 153.
You know where Shane came from, right?
No.
Where?
Shane was Texas's quarterback.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I saw whenever I was Googling him, I saw it.
Yep, they
played at Texas?
Yeah, they benched him for Sam Ellinger.
Well,
Now he's killing it.
Well, he's killing the game. Granted, he's, playing a little bit weaker competition, but
Yeah.
still.
Hey, it's competition.
Exactly.
And their running back his name is Xavier Jones. Xavier Jones has rushed for 646 yards, which is number 15 on the rushing leaders. And he's averaging 5.7 yards per carry. He has 12 touchdowns. He has 10 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown as well. So he's playing really well for them as well. I didn't see any offensive linemen or any defense or anything that really stood out.
Yeah. Okay.
Now another one that I didn't really do any research on, but was brought to my eye during this discussion is Utah.
Yeah.
Utah has only lost 1 game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a
I don't
Did
remember.
they lose to Oregon? Is that who they lost to?
Utah?
Yeah.
Utah State?
Utah.
Just Utah, not Utah State.
Yeah, no. I know,
USC.
Brody.
They lost to USC.
Yeah, USC. That's who it is.
Okay.
That was a good game too. I remember.
Man, we watched it.
Yeah, we did.
For underperformers, this is kind of hard to say because it's been one of their better years in a while. But with all the hype that they get, I mean, you gotta go with Texas.
That's
Why's
true.
that?
Because they're always a hype team, and they're always expected to be good.
Yeah, kind of like a Michigan.
I was just about to say that's just like Michigan.
Do you time out? I don't mean to interrupt. What do y'all think? You think Jim gonna get fired here pretty soon?
No.
They won't fire him.
See, I think they would because he had so much not like so much good talent, but he had quite a bit of talent for years, and he hasn't produced anything.
Well,
know, but
the reason why they are not going to fire him is because before he got there, they weren't a top 25 team.
Yeah, they sucked ass. You're right, Brody.
The only player that they had before that was Denard Robinson. That's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But I mean, he could have started the program and then give it to someone else.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I've got.
You don't think Clemson's underperforming?
They're still in the top 4.
Well, yeah, because they won last year. You think if they won last year, you think they would? If they didn't win last year, would they still be in the top 4?
They made the playoff last year.
I know, but I'm saying like if they would have lost last year.
I don't think Clemson's underperforming. I think Trevor Lawrence is underperforming.
Yeah.
I don't think you can penalize the whole entire Clemson team for what Trevor Lawrence is, is doing. Because, I mean, their defense is still, solid, giving up 12 points per game. I mean, if you're barely beating teams, if you're barely beating teams while only giving up 12 points a game, I mean, that's not entirely, Clemson's fault. So,
Their defense is doing everything that it can. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence is back there just got his feet propped up.
Do they have a backup quarterback you think they're going to throw in?
No,
I don't think so.
It was the guy. He came in. I can't remember his name. He actually came in against the Syracuse game last year whenever Trevor Lawrence took over.
Is that when he got hurt?
It was when Trevor got hurt. He got hit on the sideline on a rushing play.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that guy, I can't remember his name, but he came in and he actually won them the game. But I don't think they'll ever replace their golden child, pretty boy Trevor Lawrence. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, they need to.
For me, I think surprises have been. I would agree with Florida and Auburn. Florida more so than Auburn, just because Auburn's always, projected a top 10 team at the beginning of the season, and then they always, lose one to 2 games, and then they kind of drop, and then they win some more games, come back up. Gus Malzahn's a great coach, but Bo Nix performing as well as he is, and especially against Oregon, the first game of the season, whenever he drove down and won the game with 9 seconds.
That was pretty impressive.
That was a heck of a drive. So, I mean, Auburn's good. Florida, I think, very surprising, especially since everybody thought, I agree, Felipe Franks is kind of overrated in my eyes. But with, Kyle Trask coming in and still, the only game they've lost is LSU, and that was at LSU, and it was a good game. At the end they kind of, ran away with it, but it was a good game. So I think Florida's doing well. I think a couple teams. I know Brody, you mentioned SMU. Minnesota.
Yep.
They're
Saw
6-0.
them on there.
They're undefeated.
Yep.
We'll see who they really are, because they're in the Big Ten. So obviously, they run into Wisconsin, Ohio State.
They're tough talent.
In the regular season, and if they wind up winning, we'll play the other in championship games. So I mean, if they get to that point, so at the moment 6-0, that's surprising. I would agree with SMU just because I'm an Arkansas fan, and they were a 1 or 2 win team, and then Chad Morris came and then won 5 games, and then they won 7 games. So he turned the program around, and then he came to Arkansas. So we had high hopes and whatnot, and then all of a sudden we go 2-10, and then. Which is fine because, it's first year, but now we've only won 2 games again. So while SMU being undefeated, so that's kind of at least a little bit of a shock that they're undefeated. And then honestly, Appalachian State, it's shocking to a degree because I remember it may have been 2 years ago, but I remember, Brody, when we watched the Appalachian State Tennessee game when Tennessee was hyped up. I think they were 18th in the country
Josh
or whatever.
Dobbs.
Yeah,
Dude, he was good. I thought he was pretty good in college.
He was definitely a good college QB, but they should have beat Tennessee that year. Their kicker reminded me of Alex Tejada, man. He shanked field goal after field goal. Oh, and they were within 25 yards.
Well, that's about 90% of the NFL kickers.
Yeah. I mean, Boise State, like you said, I mean, yeah, they're undefeated this year. I mean, they've always, especially in the past, have been undefeated team. They're similar to Notre Dame in my eyes. they're usually always undefeated or a one-loss team, but they don't necessarily play anybody.
Oh no,
I
but
mean,
they used to be like around like the 2010 era. They were pretty dominant. They used to have some pretty good quarterbacks, and they used to be because they had a LeGarrette Blunt, and he played there. They used to be pretty freaking good.
yeah, I
In
mean
my
they're
opinion.
good, but like they're the best team they played this year is Florida State, and they only beat
Well,
them
yeah.
by 5. I mean they played
Well, that's kind of
Marshall,
what we can
Portland
say about
State,
Clemson last year. They didn't play anybody until the playoffs, really.
right? I mean,
And then if we said, "Oh, y'all didn't play anybody," and then they went on and destroyed Alabama. Actually, they kicked their ass.
who?
Clemson.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kept saying that they didn't play anybody, and then they went kicked Alabama's ass, and I was like, okay. But I guess you got to give Dabo some credit. I mean, it was with Saban for a while,
Yeah.
so he kind of knows the game. Since we're talking about Chad Morris and stuff, y'all think he how much longer do you think he's got?
I think he's got 1 to 2 more years.
You say 1 and 2. What about you, Brody?
One more.
Yeah.
My thing is Western Kentucky. I feel like if he doesn't pull it out, I just feel like he's on the hot seat. Like the beginning of next year, you start off like 1 and 3 or 1 and 2, then you're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
Fans will start giving up. I mean,
they've already given up.
that is true.
We never had hope.
Yeah, no, we went into the
Oh,
season.
everyone had hope when he came.
I mean, yeah, because obviously, we were
Hey,
good, and then our coach Bobby Petrino gets caught in an affair, gets fired. We go downhill, and then Brett Bielema comes in, and we're okay, and then we keep going downhill, and then Chad Morris comes in, and then we go 2-10, and now we're only won 2 games this year, and I mean,
he did recruit Deshaun Watson though.
I mean, just think about it.
But still,
we were 3rd in the country 9 years ago, and then we've just been horrible ever
booty
since.
cheeks every year.
So it's just frustrating. I mean, it's hard to put on hog gear and wake up Saturday and cheer for him. I just can't. It's so heartbreaking, especially A&M should have beat A&M, choked. And then how do we lose to Kentucky, who doesn't even have a quarterback, bro? They literally played their receiver, and we didn't play the run. I mean,
y'all had a bye week to prepare for this game.
I know.
Y'all come in, y'all look good at first, and then play by play, you're certainly just decreasing.
It's Arkansas for you.
Yeah, it's Arkansas football, baby. Woo pig.
Well, yeah. I don't think it's Arkansas. I think it's the coaches. Well, I don't necessarily. It's not the players. Y'all have the players. It's just the coaching is over here. I don't know if they're trying to do too much things.
I think they're too conservative on both sides of the ball. I honestly think they're too conservative. I mean, John Chavis, we rush 3, 4 max. We don't ever call in blitzes.
I'm surprised y'all didn't blitz a lot more in that game when they kept running the ball.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we know they're going to play the run. It's just I think we're just too conservative. I honestly think Chad's just trying to be too conservative. He needs to. I mean, honestly, at this point, he has nothing to lose, so I don't see why he's holding back.
About to be a job and they'll lose.
I know. We're what 2-4.
Yeah, like last year. Y'all didn't. Who did y'all beat last year?
We beat Portland State. No, Illinois State. Some scrub.
I know y'all destroyed them too.
Yeah, it was the first game of the season.
We destroyed our scrubs.
It was either Indiana State. I feel like it was Indiana State. Whoever it was, we absolutely destroyed. And then, we get rolled over by North Texas. And then
y'all were killing them too, and then they came back.
I think...
I don't know. It's just... I don't know if Chad Morris, Conference USA is, kicking in here and thinking he can bring that to SEC.
I don't know.
But, I don't know. I feel like this Western Kentucky game... Because if they beat y'all by more than 14, I might even kick them off right now. I might call them and say, "Don't even get on the bus. You're done."
I was looking on Twitter and they were
throw the intern coach in.
Because last time we did that we won 2 to 4 games.
What's the difference?
The quarterback for Western Kentucky is our old quarterback at Ty Story. So I mean, honestly, if we haven't won a game and we're 2 and whatever at that point, and Ty Story rolls in and throws for 500 yards, 5 TDs, and we get stomped. They may pull a Brett Bielema and fire him on the field. I don't know. I don't know if I could take that.
Fire him at halftime.
I mean, I've been an Arkansas and a Cowboy fan all my life, and so I've been through the ups and downs. And I may have to switch teams for a year if we get beat by Western Kentucky. I don't know if I could take it, just for my mental sanity and my mental health. I don't know if I can
Watch
take
it from a distance.
Watch it from like scrolling through the ESPN app as I'm watching Bama or something, and I see the Arkansas score. Just check updates every so often to see Arkansas only getting beat by 21. Not bad.
Might turn it on, might not.
Might
We'll
turn
see.
Brett Bielema actually did win a conference game though,
I know. I mean,
and Chad Morris has not won a conference game.
I honestly,
It's been close here and there, but other than that, no.
I think the
wouldn't mind to have
difference
Brett.
with that is Brett Bielema had some pretty good players,
True,
not
very
just
true.
like Chad Morris. Chad Morris has just like a handful of players that
Yeah.
are good.
That's fair.
Well, he has KJ Jefferson now. He still hasn't tried.
Yeah.
I
But
think
Brett
he should at
Bielema,
least-
I mean, even though we joke about it and everything, Brandon Allen was a great college quarterback. When
Yeah.
you go back and look at it, he was a great college quarterback. Alex Collins,
Yeah.
great running back to have in the SEC. Get you yards. He was slow, but you were not tackling him behind the line or at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
You just couldn't do it. And on defense, I mean, that one year you had the Bermuda Triangle.
Very true, bro. Miss those days.
Yeah.
Dietrich Wise, Darius Philon, Trey Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
You rush that side, you're probably not getting yards.
No. Montreal Spate,
Mm-hmm.
man. Yeah. All right. Enough bias talk because we could go on just
Yeah.
ranting about Arkansas all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Chris enjoys it being an LSU fan, but
No, I want y'all to be good. My opinion, I just think you need to fire all the coaches and say we're going to get some.
I think
gonna
it's
get
the
some young
same
guys.
way. It's the same way I look at LSU. That's our rival. I don't want it to be a
Blowout every damn year.
blowout. Yeah.
Yep.
I want it to be a
loved it
game.
when it was like 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3, and it was bloodbath. Now it's just like, damn, we're getting a bye week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go in
Literally.
and we're gonna try out these new plays, make it a little close game. But this year we'll probably just destroy it. Last year you actually came back a little bit, but I think we were just kind of bored.
I don't blame you. All right. Let's talk some upsets. There were actually, we were only really talking about the Georgia South Carolina game, but
one.
I was scrolling through. There's actually a few more than
Which ones?
So we got of course we have Georgia losing to South Carolina at home, which is the big one.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Keep going,
And then Virginia and Memphis both lost. Miami beat Virginia, who Virginia dropped out of the rankings.
Dude, Miami was kind of an underperforming team too.
Very true.
They didn't do that bad. I mean, they weren't like really good last year, but they were not bad either.
Big Dan.
They just goes. This should have.
I honestly, did Mark Richt get fired or did he retire?
I don't know.
Because he was the definition of 9-3. That dude did not win 10 games. He did not win 8 games. He went 9-3, like 99% of his career.
But,
and then he left, and they hired Rich Rodriguez. I think was like the OC, and now he's the head coach. And then they got our old offensive coordinator Dan Enos, and I mean that's a good point. They have underperformed
because
this year.
Their defense used to be like pretty solid, turnover chain.
Yeah,
which I hate, but and I think they underperformed. But yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I don't know if you could. Wait, so you said Miami beat Memphis?
Miami beat Virginia, and Virginia was 20th last week. They dropped out, and then Temple beat Memphis, which I don't know if that's necessarily like a huge upset because
it's not that big.
Memphis is always like super solid, but Temple this year has actually been solid as well. They beat they haven't really played a whole lot of teams. They killed Georgia Tech, which Georgia Tech's kind of in a slump, but they also beat Maryland as well. So I mean they're 5-1. So
Well, Memphis does have the number 6 running back right now in rushing yards.
yeah.
Not that bad.
Oh, okay. I was looking at Temple's schedule. They have to play SMU, who will be their next test. But
That would be a good
another
one.
underperforming team that we haven't talked about is UCF.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
2 years ago, screaming,
were
"We want Bama,"
undefeated.
claiming the national championship because they're the only
I
undefeated
think
team.
I think what set them
They
straight
lost
was
to Cincinnati, by the way.
Yeah,
I think LSU versus UCF last year. I think kind of put UCF in their place.
yeah,
I think they finally realized like, oh shit,
yeah.
like we don't need to. But I mean, again, I don't know if their quarterback is playing this year.
He's
That
not.
really
He's
good
still
one?
hurt.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's coming back from that knee injury. That was brutal.
that was brutal. I don't remember. I can't. I wish I knew his name right off the top
Mackenzie
of my
Milton.
head. Yeah, he was actually. I thought he was really dominant.
Yeah. Oh, he
But-
was good. He was good.
Their backup didn't seem that bad either when we played against them and when he took over. But I think when LSU kind of kicked him in the ass, I think they're like, oh shit.
I mean, he's still a good quarterback. I think he's Hawaiian like Tua.
Oh yeah.
They were making jokes about.
Yeah, two of his brothers at Alabama right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not going to be as good as Tua, but
So let's back to upsets. So you got Temple and Memphis, which isn't like a huge upset. Miami beating Virginia, and then Georgia, South Carolina, and then another one was the shootout of Louisville and Wake Forest.
I was about to say that one if he didn't.
yeah, Louisville won, didn't they?
Louisville won 62-59.
Jeez, no defense at all.
Wake Forest was undefeated up until that point, but
That's gonna be a good game this week too. Clemson versus Louisville.
yeah.
That'll be a good game.
Clemson's or I guess Louisville. They were pretty bad last year, so this is good to see them. 4-2, especially after.
Yeah, well, they really haven't been where they were since Lamar left.
I think he was their whole team. He saved Bobby Petrino's job.
I mean, he was pretty good up in Louisville.
Yeah. Other than that, there weren't a whole lot of upsets this week.
No, there wasn't. The biggest one was the Georgia.
Yeah, that's a killer for Georgia. I mean, the only way that they can hope to get back in the playoff race is by winning out and then winning the SEC championship game. I think that's the
And
only
hoping
way.
someone else is going to have to lose. Well, other than, because Wisconsin, well, never mind. Because Wisconsin wins and they're in. If Ohio State wins, they're in. I think Oklahoma has it secured. Alabama and LSU, I'm not going to say one of them has secured. And I think Clemson has it secured. But
Never a good feeling to have to depend on somebody else losing in order to get in.
no.
You definitely want to control your own destiny.
Well, the good thing is you get Wisconsin and Ohio State. One of them is going to lose, which I kind of hate that. I think it should just be the 4 best teams because they are. If it's like a 3-7 point game, like I feel bad. I wouldn't
agree.
kick them down that far. I'm like, dude, you played a top. That was just one game. They might have played away. You lose on the road by 3 points to a top team. Like, are you really that bad though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
I look at it like the environment. That's why I'm saying if LSU goes into Tuscaloosa and lose by 3 or 7, you can't go, well, screw. But before the playoffs, you had LSU that beat Bama, and then Bama still got in because they wanted the 2 best teams to play.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know. It's going to be weird. Georgia can sneak in if people lose. They might lose to Florida, though. But if they lose to Florida, I don't think Florida's going to sneak in, though.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida will be able to sneak in.
So, I guess we could go ahead and hop into some predictions for next week. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of.
My
games.
top 10 upset ready. No one in the top 10's losing.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see anybody losing. In the top 10. I would have to agree. I'm gonna jump on that train. Say nobody in the top 10's losing.
I mean, there might be an upset, but you have number 1. You have Alabama. They are playing against Tennessee, so I'm gonna go with Bama.
Automatic dub.
Okay, and Jacob's going with Bama. Brody, who you going?
Yeah.
with? Bama. Okay, we got 3 Bamas on the board. Okay, number 2, LSU is going to play Auburn or Mississippi
Mississippi
State. Mississippi State. I'm going LSU.
LSU without a doubt.
Yep.
Okay. Number 3 is going to be Clemson versus Louisville. This I can kind of see an upset. But I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with Clemson. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's upset.
Yeah, I'm picking Clemson. But I think this is out of the top 10 matchups. This is probably the one where Louisville has the best shot at handing Clemson on their first loss. But I'm gonna go with Clemson.
Okay, Brody.
I'm taking Louisville.
Okay. Fair enough.
Louisville. Okay.
I'm taking Louisville.
Okay.
I love it, Brody. Okay.
Not bad. Not bad.
Now,
Okay.
there's about a 1 in 100 chance, but this is going to be that one game.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
I can
coming
respect
off They're coming off a major high-scoring offensive game.
Right.
And that's got to feel good for their offense coming into this game. And I believe that they're going to carry that in to this and will not be stopped.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
All right. So number 4, you're sitting at Ohio State versus Northwestern. I'm going Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yep.
Northwestern's not that good this year.
No, which is crazy to think. I'm pretty sure they played in the Big Ten championship last year.
Yeah, I think they were actually pretty good last year. They weren't the guy with the what's his name? No, never mind. Wait, who's their quarterback? Jake. No, who did Jake Brownie or
Washington?
Okay, you're right. Okay, so number 5, we're sitting at Oklahoma versus West Virginia. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma.
I'm going with OU. The over/under for that is Oklahoma by 34. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
OU
Okay.
all the way.
Yeah, go OU.
First time we're ever gonna say that, but okay, we got number 6. I just had it. Okay, number 6 is Wisconsin versus Illinois. Honestly, I'm going with Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Okay, that one was quick.
Yep.
We got number 7 coming at you with Penn State versus Michigan, which will be a good game, but I think Penn State comes out on top. It is.
Yeah.
Michigan does play at Penn State, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a hard one,
man,
dude.
I know honestly, because Michigan is always overrated, but I think at where they're at now, 16, that's a fair spot to have it, because they're obviously still a good team. They're just not a top 5 team like they're hyped up to always be.
Yeah.
And Penn State lost a lot. They lost Miles Sanders, their running back, and then they lost their quarterback. This will be my upset. I'm going to go with Michigan beats Penn State.
Okay. What about you, Brody?
I'm going to take Penn State.
Okay. Now, number 8 does not play this week, so we get that one right.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Florida versus South Carolina. I'm going to go with Florida, but South Carolina is coming off of a Georgia win, so they're going to be looking pretty hot. But I think coming down, Florida is actually only a 5-point favorite on the spread.
I was looking at that.
Jeez. Okay, I'm still gonna go with Florida though. I think Florida's gonna pull it out. I think after a loss, I think they're gonna come out bouncing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Florida. South Carolina's defense has been playing really well, but I'm gonna go with Florida.
Okay.
I'm taking South Carolina.
Okay, Brody with 2 upsets.
Hot take of the day.
The reason why is because, they're coming off a huge win, and they're also playing at home.
Yeah, true.
I'm not trying to persuade your thought process by any means, but they are going to be having their 3rd-string quarterback.
South Carolina?
Yes.
I'm going to say they get it done.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay,
Just wanted to inform you.
You know what that means? If
What?
the 3rd-string quarterback is in,
What?
they don't have any film on him.
Hey, good point.
Hey, you know what? They're 3rd string in, and our podcast is 3rd string.
Oh.
So we all got to pick out. We all got to pick South Carolina now.
See, now
Yeah.
we
I gotta pick them.
rep the little
Okay,
boys.
Gotta go
Yep.
South Carolina. All right, your number 10 matchup is Kentucky at Georgia. I'm just going to go with Georgia on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
Kentucky's not been looking that hot.
Kentucky's not as good as they were. They lost too much to the draft. Georgia just got embarrassed at home, and I think Georgia's defense absolutely just swallows Kentucky's wide receiver / QB. I think Georgia wins pretty big.
Yeah, I'm taking Georgia.
Well, that's all our predictions.
I mean, I think
Brody,
I got 2 games outside of the top 10 that I want your take. So we got Arizona State at Utah. So that's 17-13, both 5-1, both Pac-12. Big game. Chris, who you got?
I'm about to go with Utah. Their quarterback, I'm pretty sure, has not thrown a pick yet. I think he's just going to stay hot, get it done.
Okay.
I just think, you're going – Arizona's going to Utah. You're going to, that's kind of tough to win on the road. Utah's looking pretty good. I think Utah's going to get through with it.
All right, Brody?
I'm going to take Utah as well. They're at home. They shouldn't lose this game.
Okay. I'm going to actually go with Arizona State. I think Herm Edwards, I think he's going to outcoach Utah. So I'm going to I think Arizona State comes out with this one. And then Oregon versus Washington.
Oregon versus Washington.
You got 2 pretty solid quarterbacks going at it. Not a whole lot of
Washington
offense necessarily, but
I'm gonna say Wisconsin pulls it out.
Washington.
Or not Wisconsin, Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope Washington. I think is gonna pull it out.
Okay.
I think Oregon going on the road. Their quarterback is really good, but their other quarterback or Washington's quarterback is as good. I think it's going to come down to a running game, more or less.
Yeah.
I think Washington pulls it off.
Okay. Brody?
I'm going to take Oregon. Herbert's just going to be too dominant in this game. And Oregon's defense has played really great this year. They've only allowed 8.7 points per game. They're only allowed 107 yards on the ground and only 160 passing yards as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Oregon as well. I think their offense is just too good. They got probably one of, if not the best offensive line in the country. And then Justin's gonna be probably a top 10 draft pick this year. So I'll go with Oregon. That's all the good, somewhat decent games this week. I mean, next week or the next couple weeks should be a whole lot better. A lot more juicy games coming our way.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Next week's gonna be a good one because LSU and Auburn probably, so that'll be a good one to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else you guys can think of, want to add?
No, I mean, week 8 we talked a lot about it. I think coming back.
Next week is also Wisconsin, Ohio State.
Big game. That'd be a big game.
I don't know. I mean, we covered a lot. We got our opinions out.
Yeah.
I think Brody's opinions suck.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Anything about you, Brody? Anything else to
add? No.
Wait, I gotta add some.
All right.
Go Tigers!
Oh my god.
Woo pig baby 2-4.
Yeah.
STTDB.
Yeah. Now I will say that's one of my favorite chants, bro. I like that. That's sick, especially
whenever.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
So. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a comment down, leave a like, put on the bell, subscribe. Also, our next video will actually come out tomorrow. It will be the NFL. We'll get into depth with that. Also, our schedule will start out college football on Monday, NFL on Tuesday. We'll do Wacky Wednesday, which will be about really anything. Kind of have our own little questions and kind of see where everybody's mind's at. You got Thursday's going to come up with NBA. And you got Fridays coming with the MLB. We'll probably, once MLB ends, we'll probably switch that to college basketball. And then once, NFL ends, we'll probably go to college baseball. So we're going to kind of, keep it rolling. Other than that, y'all got anything to add?
No, nothing I can think of. A lot coming y'all's way. So
Yeah, this week will be kind of weird. Schedule we kind of posted. We'll probably just do college football and NFL this week, and then start next week our college football, NFL, and our old schedule. We do have a Twitter. We'll link it in the description. Go give that a follow so you can keep up with, when we post, or we might post some stuff to hear back what y'all think. Maybe do some polls. Other than that, I mean, Brody, you got anything to say?
Leave us a comment. Tell us how we did.
Yeah. What about you,
good.
Jacob?
Nope,
You
that's
good?
all I can think of.
All right. Well, it's been fun with y'all tonight. Remember, our videos will be posted every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Till tomorrow. Peace out.
Till tomorrow.
See ya.
Later.